Mic check. All right, good evening, everyone. If we could please have our seats. We will be getting started at 7:18 PM, January 23rd. Call to order.
Mr. Calvo,
Present.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Present.
Ms. Pacheco, Ms. Perez, Mr. Rodriguez is absent, Mr. Tunidor,
Present.
Mr. Zogby.
Present.
Mr. President, you have enough members to conduct business.
Thank you. Invocation led by Marbelli Spagio, City Clerk.
Lord, we ask for your continued blessing upon our city. We ask that you grant the members of this council wisdom and understanding in every decision they face. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Calvo.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Meeting guidelines.
The following guidelines have been established by the city council. All lobbyists must register with the city clerk. As a courtesy to others, please refrain from using cellular telephones or other similar electronic devices in the council chamber. A maximum of 3 speakers in favor and 3 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the council on any one item. Each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. No signs or placards in support of or in opposition to an item or speaker shall be permitted within the council chamber. Any person, whether participating via the web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, interested in making comments or posing questions on matters of public concern or on any item on the agenda may do so during the meeting. Members of the public may address the city council on any item pertaining to city business during the comments and questions portion of the meeting. A member of the public is limited to 1 appearance before the city council, and the speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. The public can view public meetings on the city's YouTube page. Members of the public may hear the meeting live through telephonic conferencing using any telephone or cellular phone service. A smart device or computer are not necessary to participate in the meeting if you join by phone. All persons participating via the web platform will be muted during the meeting until called upon to be heard. Participation through Zoom requires a computer or smart mobile device with a microphone and web camera. The participant may elect to participate in the meeting using audio only or appear through both audio and video. The video function of all participants appearing through video will be turned off until called upon to be heard.
All right, thank you, City Clerk. Presentations. We have one by Juan Carvalho. Is Juan here?
Juan Carvalho, Senior Business Analyst with the City of Hialeah Information Technology Department, is recognized as the City of Hialeah 2023 Employee of the Year.
All right. Yeah.
One, two, one, two, one, two. All right, members of the city council, this year we had a vigorous competition of employees of the month, and there was many great and able employees of the city. You should all be very proud of the employees that are providing service. He's very proficient in what he does, and he keeps the trains running on time, and we appreciate the work that he does. And for that, he becomes, I don't know if they've done this before, but it's the first time I do it, where we name him as the Employee of the Year. Congratulations, Juan. And there's a check there, Juan, so you can take us all to dinner if you like, but no pressure, my friend, no pressure. And also, Carl, if you could favor, hang on to this, open it up and present him with a huge paperweight. It says you're the employee of the year, okay?
Ok, voy a decirlo en español. Primero que todo, es un honor el poder servir a este grupo, a este colectivo y a esta comunidad. Vivo en Hialeah hace 22 años. Hialeah es la vida mía. Me gusta hasta el aire, la forma en que huele el aire de Hialeah me gusta. Los parques, me conocen todos en los parques por juego soccer. Aunque no lo crean, estoy medio gordito, pero juego soccer. Y bailo zumba también. Ok, y quiero agradecer a todos los departamentos por el apoyo que me han dado en implementar las nuevas tecnologías que existen hoy en día y por la aceptación de tener esas tecnologías, el cambio de la mentalidad de lo que es la tecnología moderna a la tecnología antigua. Ellos han tenido esa digamos, esa bondad y esa aceptación y hemos implementado en casi todos los departamentos, por no decir en todos, lo que es Business Intelligence, en Machine Learning y Artificial Intelligence para que las decisiones se puedan tomar basadas en las estadísticas y basadas en los métodos científicos modernos. Agradezco sinceramente al apoyo que me han dado, porque sin ese apoyo era imposible que esto fuera posible.
Gracias, Juan. Y just for those of you that do not understand Spanish, just a very quick translation. He said that he could have been Messi, a soccer player, but he hurt his leg at some point. And then he became an IT. Isn't that what he said? That's what I understood. Muchas gracias, hermano. Let's take a picture as a group, and then you have more your IT folks here. No, entonces ven para acá.
Online para mi familia que me está viendo mi esposa y mi hija. Si quieren, tampoco es posible.
All righty, comments and questions, City Clerk?
$5601 West 10th Avenue, Juan Santana. I don't know what's been happening lately, but Mayor, thank you for cleaning 8th Avenue. I was very impressed. What's it called? Everything's getting pressure clean. I thought it was only gonna be Palm Avenue, but thank you. Keep up the work that you're doing. At the same time, still asking for, you told me you'll consider it regarding having a code compliance director. Just tapping into that again, regarding that issue. Again, I think the building director does a great job being the building director. We do still need a code compliance director. Hopefully you guys are finding more code enforcement individuals to work here. But also tonight I wanted to pass out some constitution books, right? That way everybody has one. I think Louis, I'll give it to his assistant. Everybody should read the Constitution because a lot of things that are being presented today, it's going against the Constitution. So, again, I'm just passing it out to you guys. That way you guys have it and be able to read it. The councilmen's and councilwomen's that you guys can have it. So, we're still dealing with the issues. One more, 3 more. Oh, it's for the council individuals, not for everybody up there, just the councilmen's and the mayor. That's it. But I'll get Louis another one later. Councilman Louis, I know he's away. Guys, hopefully we can come to some type of resolution. Mayor, I'll be discussing that because I know it's open for second reading for comment and questions regarding the trailer issues in Hialeah. So I am putting everyone on notice. That way, anybody wants to be violating my constitutional rights, a bill of rights that you guys swore to defend and uphold. I am putting everyone on notice. So this, as of right now, let's ask the attorney, what happens when you lose your qualified immunity, okay? So remember that, okay? So whatever we're voting on tonight, and it has to it affects me in any type of way or anything, I'm putting it on the record, okay? Qualified immunity, because I'm giving everybody notice. You violate my constitutional rights, you lose your qualified immunity, and you could be personally come after. But thank you very much, Mayor. You guys have a good day.
All right. Anyone else public comments?
Good evening, Jose Alzi, 788 Southeast Park Drive. I think today's gonna be a positive meeting. I just want to clarify something. Today, I'm gonna ask a question. I'm not gonna make a comment. The First Amendment, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, prohibition of free speech. And today, we're gonna discuss the new procedures for the city council meetings, and the procedure will say visual electronics data to be streamed shall not bear a message that is personal. I want to ask the city attorney, what does that mean that you can't say something is personal?
Yes,
Through the council president, may I respond?
yes, sir.
That means in general, it's interpreted to mean that you address issues, not personalities. You say, I think this law is an unintelligent law or an incorrect law, as opposed to saying, you're dumb, that's what it means.
But personal, I could say like, Councilman Cabo, that was a bad move you made with painting the house blue. That I could say, right?
Yeah, I have no wish to sit up here and speculate on particular things. The main thing is that you go to the issue at hand, the substance of the issue was hand, as opposed to the official or the officer that you think is behind it. You go to the subject matter, not the person.
Do you think that could be clarified? What personal is very, very broad. You think you could consider clarifying that more in that code?
The language that has been used is a language commonly utilized in local jurisdictions to mean that you're speaking, for example, to an agenda item and not to a person. So that's the will of the council, not mine, but I think it's sufficiently clear.
Yeah, the media gave me a copy of the full item. I know Marbella's got the city of Cape Coral, city of Miami, city of Miami-Dade County, and we all agree obscene attacks, but none of them mention personal. Like I could say, Councilwoman Monica Perez, it was terrible when she voted no, because that's gonna affect my neighborhood. So I hope you clarify, because Coral Springs does not have that. City of Miami, I'm using those three municipalities. City of Doral doesn't have it either. That's gonna be up for, a lot of interpretation, and even the Miami Ethics Department could look into that. It's so broad. Yeah, I just hope that you consider making that, defining that, what that is. Because of course, nothing obscene, no personal attacks. Everybody believes in that. And we all believe in law and order, but that's just very, very broad. And I know it's gotta be now a week in advance. I hope you consider treating developers like you do the residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Any online, city clerk? Oh, we have one here.
Ernie Quapel, 3760 East Sixth Avenue, Hialeah. 4 months ago at our historic preservation meeting, the board unanimously agreed to move forward with a proposed charter amendment to make the street naming process more efficient, streamlined, and pleasant for the applicant, recipient, and local government. It would quickly remedy two problems. It would eliminate the open-ended, indefinite amount of time that an application can be left unsettled. It would also ease the waiting period stress and anxiety felt by the applicant and the recipient's family. As it stands, an application can sit there for an indefinite amount of years without any action or decision. This is not a hypothetical. These are problems that are happening in real time. situations we currently encounter. One example is an application that sat in limbo for 2 administrations. The application was for Andy Mejides, our first Hispanic council member elected to Hialeah's council in 1973. He would later become the first Hispanic council president, paving the way for every other Hispanic elected in Hialeah. It took 3.5 years for it to make its way to its seemingly inevitable death at Mayor Bovo's desk. No family should ever have to wait that long. Meanwhile, more questionable applications have since been approved in an expedient and timely manner. Our proposed charter amendment would help remedy this. Our request has made its way to the clerk's office and is awaiting language in order for it to be submitted. However, currently, as part of our charter, there is existing language that is quite befitting and precisely what the board would like to see added to the street naming process. Ordinance number 82-86, page 16, letter J. If no action upon an application is taken within 60 days from the date of application, such application shall be deemed to have been approved and no other evidence of approval shall be needed. This time limit may be waived by mutual written consent by the applicant and the board. So to Mr. Tundador and to the council, I'd like to know what we can do to expedite this. Nothing can be done?
I believe that's, that is a process, for street namings starts in historical. And
Right, no, that's-
it's-
yeah, right.
It's an administrative process, Bernie.
Right, but what I'm saying, so right now,
Right.
that process has begun and we're waiting on language to be able to get to the next step, which I believe is either getting to the mayor. I don't know what the next step would, maybe somebody could tell us what the next step should be once that language, and if we could use language that already exists in the charter, it's there already.
Anyone have any
Through
comments?
the chair, I
Yes,
would
ma'am.
like to say something. I'm certain that this is a subject that would be of importance to the council. A way that would treat every person equally, that would provide equity, a time frame to process these cases. And I can speak for myself now as an individual council member. I do believe that it should be established, that there's a process and to determine, to make a decision on these applications. And regardless of whether our opinions or how we feel about the person after which the street is to be named, even if we disagree, a decision should be made and not leave the person in limbo. So I would like to discuss it, to further discuss it with the council, even if it's at a later time. I think it would be important in order to respect every person's rights.
Awesome, that's great. Well, if you needed to contact for any reason, you could just let me know what the next step should be. And I'm sure that the board would love to be able to help follow up on this, because unanimously we voted to go ahead and have this happen.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Appreciate you.
guys.
Have
I
a great night.
appreciate it.
Okay,
For the record, if I may, Mr.
Yeah.
Council Chair, what I just to reflect that the record is clear, what you were reading from, sir, was actually for the certificate of appropriateness. So that 60-day period is, for, as you know, for the board to consider making a recommendation on granting or approving a modification or an alteration to the historic structure. But that does not pertain to street naming.
Right,
That's-
no, I was not, yeah, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm not saying that
No, just so the board is, just so the council is clear.
Right, yeah, it wasn't that was part of that. I'm saying that that language is essentially
Yeah.
what the Historic Preservation Board said. Yes, that's something that should apply, whether it be 60 days or 90 days, but there's enough meat in there that
perfect.
it could apply.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
you,
Fred.
guys.
Appreciate
Appreciate
you.
it.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Okay, let's go ahead and move over to announcements of amendments and corrections to the agenda.
Consent items H and I have been added to today's agenda. Additional backup documentation was added to item PZ2 from Joniel Gonzalez, Gisela Palenzuela, Diana Levy, and other residents at 11 East 60th Street, Hialeah, Florida. Consent item G has been postponed until the city council meeting of February 13, 2024.
Okay, board appointments.
Proposed resolution reappointing Michael Rosengaus to the Board of Trustees of the Employees General Retirement System as the Fraternal Order of Police appointment for a two-year term beginning on January 1st, 2023 and ending on December 31st, 2024.
Okay,
Motion.
we have a motion by Vice President, second by Zogby.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez is absent. Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right, 9B.
Proposed resolution appointing Enrique Mason as a member of the Planning and Zoning Board for a two-year term beginning on January 24th, 2024 and ending on January 23, 2026, and providing for an effective date.
Do we have a motion?
I second the motion.
So you motion, we have a second. Do you have a second for this motion?
Oh, hold on, wait, I thought, so you motioned?
All
No.
right, no, I thought, all right, I
Cause
motion.
it's your,
yes.
it's your appointee, that's why.
Okay, yes.
Okay, so we have a motion by Councilman Pacheco. We have a second.
I'll second.
All right, second by Vice President. Call roll.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right, consent agenda. Does anyone want to pull any items? No, do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Vice President. And second. Second by Zogby.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The consent agenda has passed.
All right.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, we should have pulled really item I, but it's passed, which is a good thing. But I think we should acknowledge the fact that we have
Yes.
South Hialeah Elementary School in the house.
All right.
Principal, if you can come down. And just want to thank and I'm sure they're going to do it also, but I want to thank the council for the approval of the street naming
Mhm.
of South Hialeah Elementary. And I'm gonna let the principal share some news about South Hialeah Elementary, but it's a proud moment and we're proud that you're here and thank you for being here today.
Good evening, everyone.
Name
Or
and
should-
address, sir, if you don't mind.
I'm sorry.
Name and address, just for the record.
Oh, sure. Dr. Dylan Williams, address 265 East Fifth Street. Good evening, everyone. Or buenas noches. I became the proud principal of South Hialeah Elementary School 2 years ago, and I have to share this story. I was new to the community. The first place that I went to was Walgreens, and I picked up a book that talked about the history of Miami Springs, Hialeah, and of course, Opelika. I thought that it was essential for me to understand the community in which I was serving children. And I read that book and I learned a lot of lessons in that book about the rich history of Hialeah. Being the principal at this moment at South Hialeah, we're celebrating 100 years of educational excellence at South Hialeah. The school was built in 1923, and then it opened its doors on February 14th, 1924. Yes, on Valentine's Day. Thus the mantra, a school with a heart. So we're getting ready to commemorate and celebrate with our community, our parents, our students, and our teachers its 100th birthday. And we're proud to celebrate the acknowledgements that we've done for a century. So we're excited about this. We want to thank you so much for this opportunity, Mayor Bovo and City Council, for recognizing us and granting this opportunity for us. We thank you, thank you, thank you. We're totally indebted to the city of Hialeah, and just know that South Hialeah Elementary School is definitely your best choice to send your children. Thank you so much.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
And let me just add, if you haven't had a chance to go by the school, definitely go by and visit. They make good Cuban coffee. They also treat you well. And it's one of the most unique situations, experiences when you go to the school, because the school's modernized, but they've kept a slice of old Hialeah. And the part of that campus is literally a bunker, but it's a unique setting. They got probably, I don't know, maybe the oldest ficus tree, no, that you have, or banyan, but anyways, it's great that they're celebrating their 100th year. We also know that Seminola is celebrating their 100th year this year, and obviously the city of Hialeah will be rolling into next year, their 100th year anniversary. So, thank you guys for being here and keep up the good work, okay?
Thank you.
Thanks.
And
Doc-
if I may,
Doc-
through the
oh,
chair,
Go ahead, yeah.
well, I'm very happy to see you guys here. I'm an educator also, so I'm gonna pass by and visit you guys over there. I've seen the great work that you're doing in our community. So thank you to everyone that's here, your team, your administration. And the author that you talked about is Seth Branson. He's actually on our board for our 100th year centennial. So I think that we did a good choice.
Yeah.
Right there at Walgreens.
That's right.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Doctor, and I just want to echo everything that's been said, and you know, I've had the great privilege to be able to work with South Hialeah Elementary for many years. You guys used to have a principal there called Miss Tellez, Principal Tellez, I believe, and she's a dear friend, great heart, and I've heard a lot of great things about you, Doctor, and I look forward to working with you. But I can tell you that South Hialeah has variety of different children, right? And different upbringings, and some kids go through some better times and others don't, right? But what's remained consistent is the support that's always been in that school for these kids. So I congratulate you and everyone there, and job well done, and I look forward to working together. All right. Administrative items, 11A.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending the Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98 entitled Zoning, amending Section 98-103 rezoning application, permitting rezoning and land use amendment applications to be submitted concurrently, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item is the second reading. Do we have any public comments in the chamber or online?
None online.
Any council discussion?
Motion.
We have a motion by the Vice President and a second by Council Member Zogby.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right, 11B.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending Chapter 2 entitled Administration, Article 7 entitled City Property of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hialeah, and in particular by enacting a new code section 2-904 entitled Lease of City's Real Property to provide minimum standards for the leasing of city real property, providing lease provisions and procurement procedures for such leases, providing limited exceptions from such procurement procedures, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item is the second reading, open for public comments, anything online or in the chamber?
None online, sir.
We have any council discussion?
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to focus in on section 2-903 subsection A. Just wanted to grab the city attorney's opinion on this. I don't think that this is additional language that we're changing. I believe this was already there, but it's talking about insurance requirements. And it's saying the insurance shall, the last sentence says, however, in no case shall the insurance be less than $100,000 for a claim or judgment and $200,000 for the incident or occurrence, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Should we up those amounts to like the sovereign immunity limits? Because I think we might carry some risk in between the 100,000 and whatever the limits are set by statute.
That's a good point. Councilmember Calvo, you know, I think that this does say it's a minimum. So in practice, the insurance required is set by our risk manager at a higher rate. But in a conversation that I had with the risk manager, I believe that him and several others in that field were going to review it and come up with some recommendations. But in all candor, I don't recall receiving them. So that section can be modified later. I think what you're suggesting is a good idea. It was discussed with the risk manager, and that's what I can tell you about that.
Okay. Yeah, because if we're already editing it today, I just think it would make sense to just scribble in what the new amount is. I mean, I don't know if the risk manager's here. You wanted to say something?
Okay. What you're getting at is making a modification to
Yeah,
say.
a minor modification on the
Right.
amount.
Like the amounts prescribed for claims in 768.28 Florida statutes, which would track whatever the amount is that the legislature has, something like that. Is that
Yeah,
what you
I
had
think
in
that
mind?
makes sense.
Okay. So what I just recommended in light of his comment, was that, the Florida statute 768.28, as you know, sets forth those amounts that, 200 per person, 300,000 per, but every few years, the legislature, raises them. So what we're recommending here instead of this is just saying shall not be less than the sovereign immunity waiver amount set forth in 768.28
Yes.
as amended.
That's acceptable. That's a good idea.
Great.
Thank you, Brian.
Let's do it.
All right.
Thank you.
So, and if I may, Mr. Council President, I just wanted to say one brief, very technical thing. A minor addition was made to subsection B as in boy, 11, to add a Roman numeral 6, which says, upon written recommendation of the city administration, the city council may additionally consider in-kind non-monetary contributions, which can be given a cash value if it finds it to be in the best interest of the city to do so. And what that minor modification is that, for example, if you have someone, let's just say leasing city property and they're paying you a fair market rental, but they're also managing it or doing something like a management operation for you or concession operation or something like that. And that can be valued, in a professional manner that the council, if recommended by the administration, can consider that has X value and we're going to credit it on the rent or we're going to offset or whatever it is that the arrangement is. Am I clear?
Okay.
Okay, that minor
Right.
change was, all right, that was the only thing.
Any other comments? All right, do we have a,
So do we motion amend
the
with the amendments?
Uh,
They're fixing.
city attorney, will we need a?
Motion as amended.
You can, for simplicity, just say, move it as amended, and we've heard an amendment about 768.28 for the,
Okay.
claims and the other one that I just read into the record.
Do we have a motion then?
Motion as amended.
Okay,
I
We have
second.
a move by the vice president, second by Perez.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right, 11C.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending the Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Chapter 6, entitled Alcoholic Beverages, amending Section 6-66, Distance Separation Requirements Restrictions to reflect changes on 4 COP requirements as per House Bill 639, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is a second reading. Do we have any public comments online? In the chamber?
No, sir.
All right, do we have any council discussion?
Motion.
I have a motion by the vice president,
Second.
second by Perez.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
11D.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending Chapter 70 entitled Retirement and Pensions, Article 7, Elected Officials of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hialeah, specifically by changing the composition of the Oversight Committee and to delete obsolete language, providing for a severability clause, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for codification in the city code, and providing for an effective date.
All right, any public comments on this item?
Motion.
Motion by Council President, Councilwoman Perez,
Second.
second by the vice president.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
11E.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending the Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Chapter 1, entitled General Provisions by enacting a new section 1-13 entitled Official City Seal, providing a description, disallowing unauthorized use of such seal, providing for an alternate seal, authorizing city staff to undertake certain administrative actions, reserving all rights as to city seals, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Second reading, any public comments? Have any council discussion?
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just for the city attorney, it appears to me that this is like the same language as first reading. For subsection B, I just want to be clear for my purposes. Would I be allowed, or any, member of the city council would be allowed to use or continue to use the city seal without, necessitating this express prior approval of the city council, like it says there? How do you interpret that?
I interpret that to mean by note that there's an accept by city officials or employees in their official duties without the express prior approval of the city council. So the reverse of that is what is, I think, clear from reading that language, that when a individual city official is using the city seal relative to their official duties, they may do so. What you can't do is unlawfully use the city seal. I can only mention some cases and AGO's opinions that I recall saying, for example, elected officials throughout Florida using the city seal for a city event, a city gathering, a city program that is a municipal program, a park program, a recreation program, what have you, is all fine. What I do recall saying is these opinions and cases saying, for example, when you are, for your own political purpose, you are running for reelection. You're running for reelection, a campaign, okay? Or you're endorsing somebody else who's running for the county or the state or whatever. That is not an official, that's not considered the official use of the city seal. That's considered personal. So that's what I would tell you offhand, but using it for city purposes, all municipal purposes, I believe is entirely permissible.
Okay, just a very short follow-up. If it is gray, and I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you, but if it is gray, who would be the ultimate body to determine that? Would it be the courts? Would it be the council? Would it be somebody else?
Well, I think, again, it's difficult to speculate, Councilmember Caldwell, but I think if a member felt it was gray, they would, as it says, the city council may approve, and the city council, they would bring it to the city council to get an opinion, a sentiment, a feeling about it, whatever, discuss it, and or they could ask for an opinion on it, or both. And then if the council person involved still felt, I suppose, at odds, they could seek whatever redress, the laws would allow, but yeah, I would think that the council would be the general body that would be making that determination.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
All right, go ahead,
Mr.
Frank.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
good evening. Frank de la Paz, 1100 Southwest 104th Street, Miami, Florida. Regarding item section B, you unauthorized use of the seal. And I'm serious about it, please. This is not a joke, because I have seen many things happen in my life. I do have several CD seals, copies of CD seals, that if we're going to go to the strict reading of this, I'm going to have to be coming in front of you and ask for permission to use them, as I have been using them since the day they were given to me by no longer alive city council members. Jacqueline Lopez has one on her jacket, on the lapel. I have several of them that were given to me, and it was traditional that in some city events, those involved citizens that had them will wear them on their jacket. So I just want to point it out. I don't want Mr. Fuentes come after me for the misdemeanor because he will see me wearing one. I'm not a city employee, but I will wear them as I feel. So since there is no grandfather clause on the ordinance, I really will make you all aware that I do have copies of the city seal, several of them in bronze and in plastic. It was very common through the 80s to be handed out to those friends, families, board members. And there's many more besides me that have them. And I don't want anybody to come out and say, hey, Frank is wearing a city seal without permission from anybody. I am serious about it. Thank you.
Mr. Council President, if I may, a brief comment. I am not personally aware of a single case for violation with people wearing a city seal as an insignia or emblem on an item of attire, on a T-shirt, on a jacket. The violations with this, so you know, generally occur, and I speak from an actual case, for example, where a promoter who is not really affiliated with the city uses a city seal and says that something is a city event when it's not a city event, or a company is selling a product for commercial gain, saying that it's city endorsed with a city seal. The violations generally have to do with either inappropriate usage commercially or politically, not wearing on clothing. That's the best thing I can tell you.
And I understand that, Mr. Suarez Rio, but then again, I can be on day in Tallahassee wearing the seal, and it's a political activity, and I'm not representing the city. So there's many gray areas out there that I just want to make sure that you're all aware of it.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you. All right, do we have a motion?
Motion.
Or a motion by the Vice President? Second by Councilman Zogby.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Tumnidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
No.
Ms. Garcia Robles.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco.
I would like for there to be more clarification and less gray areas. So for now, my vote is no, just because even the issue that Mr. La Paz presented, it's not in writing, and that could be considered unauthorized use. I wouldn't like to see a person have to face any legal consequences.
Okay, thank you.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right, 11F.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending the Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98 entitled Zoning, amending Section 98-2200, parking commercial vehicles, recreational vehicles, boats or vessels on properties owned residential, regulating the placement and number of recreational vehicles, vessels, and boats permitted on properties zoned residential, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item is in second read. Do we have any public comments online?
No, sir.
Any in the chamber?
Good evening, Belka Sabarategi, 460 East 23rd Street. I'm giving my 3 minutes to Mr. Juan Santana. Thank you.
5601 West 10th Avenue, Juan Santana. I registered for this. I don't know why I was not qualified for this today. I'm gonna go find out with the ethics department. Maybe they didn't update something, but I did my renewal last year, so I don't understand why I'm not an active lobbyist for, I don't know. I'll figure it out though. Basically, I would like to start off thanking the Hialeah Police Department. Thank you to your staff, chief. Again, you're doing an amazing job. I requested records, and unfortunately, the clerk's department here, I know they work diligently. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say they don't, but every time I request a record, it takes forever. Sometimes I have to follow up with the records department just to kind of get educated on this a little more. I did speak with the assistant chief regarding the reports that I got. It's 41 pages of complaints between the communication of the Hialeah PD with code compliance, okay? So out of 41 pages, there's only 6 that's investigation and after going through it a little more, those don't have nothing to do regarding the RVs. The other ones now, it's regarding commercial vehicles. And that is rancid. You know, Mayor, I hope you're able to hire more code enforcement officers to tackle this. And Mayor, like I've told you before, even in the elevators, I don't think people should be renting out their RVs. You know, I don't think they should be renting out their traveling trailers. That's completely wrong. And for the abuse of $1,500 a month, that's just ridiculous. At the same time, we have, you know, the way that everything was handled. And Mayor, honestly, I was trying to like not involve myself in the process of this and just agreeing with the things, how they are and how they're not supposed to be. But at the same time, guys, if I'm being called by an elderly couple telling me, Senor Santana, I don't have no water, I don't have no electricity, right, for this issue, I'm sorry, I'm gonna respond. Just like we have the COVID infested bodies, Councilman Tunio, or you went out there, so did you, Councilman Monica. You know, this is serious. And you know what? When they call me, I'm gonna respond. You know, and Mayor, I'm gonna put it on the record. What's it called? I called every single person that I knew in the media, right? And I completely forget that your medical staff, your media staff person is she used to work at 41 and that was my contact. But I did advise her that what I was gonna do. The whole entire time I said, let him know that I called everybody. Okay. And at the end of the day, the narrative that they pushed is basically what needs to be done. We do not need.
You do your 3 minutes now?
Yeah.
Okay.
We do not need to be renting out these things at all. And I told the elderly couple, I said, listen, guys, the city, what we need to do, Mayor, also is if we can increase the fines, of these individuals that are renting. You go on Facebook right now, you go to Facebook Marketplace and you type in rental or rent of a RV or a trailer in Hialeah. Guys, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of these things, and at the end of the day, they should not be doing that. I don't like that people from Kendall come and buy property here in Hialeah and they split up the house in 7 different ways, and then now they want to put 2 RVs in the back to get no. That is completely wrong. I've knocked on thousands of doors and I'm knocked on thousands of feces also, But again, Mayor, for you to go and say that we don't need to be attending these people regarding the social aspect of things, that concerns me, because believe it or not, you have so many talented organizations here in Hialeah that can assist. And I've come to this council before talking about the homeless trust. They get $40-something million every 4 months. Why are we not trying to allocate money here for you to basically assign organizations to help these individuals? And then we go to Hialeah Housing, everything with Hialeah Housing. They run out of money too. They run out of money at the end of the day. But again, Chief, thank you very much, because I asked for records from the fire department. This is new, guys, that way you know, right? I went to the city clerk's office today. I requested it 5 days ago because I saw the little performance that the fire department did, right? Regarding the fire hazard, that it can happen. These things can happen. I requested the records regarding how many times has it happened. For the Hialeah Police Department, guess how many reports regarding trailers? None. Between code compliance and Hialeah PD. Now fire, I requested it. Now today they tell me that I have to go to the fire department to request that. Mayor, we're kind of doing things backwards. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the same thing with the records over there in the police department. I told you a long time ago, you need to shut that down. It's a waste of money, a waste of space, And when you got to come to the clerk's office anyways to require something from the police department. Why I can't request something from the clerk's office regarding the fire department and receive it with the clerk? You get me? It's backwards. That's what I'm trying to say. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to tolerate for the overextension of the abuse of turning off water and electricity to elderly people in Hialeah. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Oh, hi, good evening again. Jose Alzi, 788 Southeast Park Drive. I want to share two personal experiences, and I'm for ordinances. I'm for more ordinances and more fines. On the block where Southeast Park is, that's my area. There was 2 tractor trailers, 18-wheelers on a residential home, the same block as Southeast Park, and there was a trailer home. Caleb Rodriguez, our code enforcement, he's probably the veteran. He's like hard-nosed, right? He's really good. But they're limited to what they could do. We got to keep passing ordinances, make them more strict, make more fines, because people know they could go to Hialeah and try this, try that. They won't try in other cities. But the more tools you give the code enforcement officers, the easier it is for them. He had to assign, this is December 1st. He had to assign a task force to get them out of there. You can't, I thought you could go and give them no, they won't. And then if they don't listen to you, you got to take them to court. So a big procedure. I've been more, and they do a great job, but keep more strict ordinance, higher fines, and something you might want to consider. Like there was a food truck. I live next to the gas station on the June and Okeechobee. The food truck was right in front of the gas tanks. The police could not help me. Code enforcement could not help me. I spoke with Bermudez. I think I called you one time about the work pastor we're doing, make it strict. So nobody could do anything about a food truck that was operating. They open up after 3, 4 o'clock. Nobody could do anything about it. What saved me was our fire department has a section for fire prevention, and Captain Paul Garcia went, and it was a fire hazard. They're operating right in front of the gas tanks. I sent you pictures. I hope you got those pictures. So, I mean, their hands are tied. Code enforcement can do nothing. Police, we can't do nothing. There's no ordinance. And I want you to consider, because these food trucks, they open up after 3 o'clock. That food truck is operating from like 6 p.m. to 3 in the morning. That's very normal for them. If you consider, if you hire another code enforcement, put him at night. And then we have a police officer named Andrew Gutierrez that he works hand in hand with the code enforcement. Maybe, I know that the police have a lot of work. I mean, the mayor, chief doesn't want to hear this, but maybe like give 2 of them special training for at night to work with code enforcement, because they do it at night. So this problem is going to be at night. And the Dade County ordinance for food trucks, I was reading our ordinance. I think you should add, their ordinance says that it should be, I don't know how many yards away from residential homes. I think we should add that, because these people make a lot of noise and everything is good, but I think you should consider looking at Dade County ordinance that they have, how far it could be from residential homes. And I think, yeah, and lastly, I want to commend that I want to honor 2 sergeants for Sector 1, Sergeant Pullins and Sergeant Garcia. We had an issue with the drug addicts that were living on the street, whatever, and it got bad. And they stayed with it, you know, took them a long time, but they got rid of it. And they're the sergeants, the police officer, Sector 1, they do a good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosen. Any other public comments? Go ahead.
Through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I would like to speak on this item.
Well, just 1 second. We're still on public comments here. Go ahead. No, go ahead. It's a great shirt, by the way. Name and address, ma'am.
You like it?
I love it.
This is what you talked about last week,
Yeah.
so. That's what she has in her car. My neighbor,
Can you show the crowd for a second?
my neighbors heard about it,
Uh-huh.
thought she'd make me a shirt so I could show everybody.
If you want to bring down the mic and then just name and address. for
Right,
the record.
Yvonne Albritton, 7990 West 15th Lane.
Thank you.
I've been there since 1965. Born in Miami, 1943. So it's from Miami to Hialeah. I love Hialeah. I love my neighborhood. I wouldn't sell my house for any amount of money. Don't want to live anywhere else. I just hate to see things happening like RVs with a crane taking 2 RVs over a house and putting them in the backyard for rent. It's not happening on my block. If it was, I'd be complaining every day to you or to everybody. But people don't want to complain. And I think they feel like it doesn't do any good to complain, because unfortunately, Hialeah kind of has the reputation of not enforcing rules. It's terrible. And I hate it. And I tell people, don't badmouth Hialeah. I love it. Do something about it. So that's all I have to say. I hope we can come up with some kind of rule or law or something that we can enforce for boats And especially RVs where people are living in them.
Mhm.
5 or 6 cars parked in front of a house. We have rooming houses that we don't do anything about. So I like this new idea to have it, new laws. So that's all I wanted to get up and say.
All right.
I love Hialeah, believe me, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And it's funny, all these years, I've never come to a meeting. Isn't that
Never?
horrible? Never.
Oh.
Well, it's kind of far from me, and
Yeah.
I don't like driving all the way down here. I think we should have meetings kind of somewhere else every once in a while, like at the police department. We could have a meeting, and a lot of people from where I live would come to the meetings because nobody wants to drive all the way down Palm Avenue.
What about Palm Lakes Elementary?
That'd be perfect. It's perfect for me. No, but it's really inconvenient to come here. I've just never come. I complain all the time about things, but I've never come to the meetings. But I just wanted to say, I hope we can pass an ordinance for the RVs and the boats that people are living in.
That's right.
I appreciate
All
that.
right. Thank you.
And I like my T-shirt.
I love it.
It's on the back of my car. I think you mentioned it.
Yeah, I did.
I couldn't remember exactly what it said. It's been on there so long.
Yeah.
But I go everywhere. I go to Miramar, Pembroke Pines. I have a lot of friends and relatives that live up there, and they see my car and they say, "Oh my God, it's Hialeah." And I said, "Yes,
Yeah.
wonderful."
That's right.
Don't give me a hard time about Hialeah. So
That's right.
that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I
Thank you
have
so-
good news for you because we are working on a 2050 master plan for the city of Hialeah. And we are going to the different neighborhoods in
I got
the elevator. There is a brochure with that.
Okay.
And we will make it public. We will advertise it, but at that point, you will be able to go to a park near your house. And we'll call the meeting where all the neighbors will be able to say what they like, what they dislike, and what they want for the future of the city.
Name and address, Deborah, please, for the record.
Deborah Storch, Planning and Zoning
Thank you.
Director, 501 Palm Avenue.
Let me just mention something about that. One thing that we had that was wonderful, and I've mentioned it to you before, was Crime Watch with Carmen Caldwell. It
Remember
was
that?
fantastic. The best thing that ever happened in Hialeah, but then it went away. We still have it on my block. But we could really use Crime Watch again.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron. All right. Any other public comments? No other public comments? Okay, Councilwoman Pacheco, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you. Well, I agree that we do need to establish this ordinance and enforce it to ensure safety for the residents, also the aesthetic of the city. And it's a very much needed ordinance. I just have a concern. I've had at least a dozen residents reach out to me. And I know that no one should be living in RVs. But there are many cases that are families that are in great need. They're very vulnerable, very low income. And I'm concerned that we don't know exactly how many people are going to be affected by this. And we haven't prepared a plan to provide resources or connect individuals to resources that they need in order to relocate. I just would like to see something done in order to help these people, because I don't want to just give the message that, yes, we care about the homeowners and we care about the aesthetic of the city and the safety, but also we care about those people that are going to be displaced, that are living in the RVs, because at the end of the day, they're humans and they made a mistake. Some of them maybe knowingly, and many others, they didn't know they were doing something wrong. But I have a duty to speak up about this because I was entrusted by, thousands of people to speak up for them, to represent them. And this is something that's causing a great deal of concern. It's causing panic among, especially a lot of elderly people, disabled individuals. Not everyone living in the RVs is there to provide a profit for the homeowner. This has to be done. The ordinance has to be implemented and enforced, but I would also like to take into consideration the people that need help. And we're not really talking about that. What can be done in order to see that they're not just left homeless?
I think,
If I may, through the chair,
Someone, go ahead.
didn't we discuss in the last meeting that we were gonna send some envelopes of information and reach out once we make contact and we confirm that someone was living there, that we were gonna do that social aspect of it? with some information included. I thought we had already
Yes.
discussed that last meeting, right?
I,
That we were gonna do the outreach.
yes,
I
I
think what
brought
we
that
had
up.
said, Councilwoman, that, as we roll this out and try to communicate with people, of course, we're gonna have compassion with folks.
Mhm.
But what needs to be crystal clear, okay, is that the city of Hialeah runs a budget that is a tight ship, okay? There are many resources at the county, and by all means, we should point people in that direction. But if what the intention is to use taxpayer dollars who depend on that money being invested in police, which we're short of, in fire department, in programming for our kids, in repairing their streets, and on and on and on it goes, what they expect out of the tax dollars that they spend. I will be for one to tell you that creating a social service program that cannot be sustained. Let me repeat that, cannot be sustained. You could create a program, you could put money in it, and it'll never be enough. And then you'll have to put more money in it and more money in it and more money in it. And before you know it, you're gonna have to start either cutting the program that you created or cutting other programs that you would like to do or that you should use that money for. Or the last option is then turn to the taxpayer and tell them, we don't have enough money. And that's really local government 101.
Mhm.
I will tell you that you should be more than aware of what's going on in Tallahassee, that there's an additional homestead exemption that is floating through the halls in the House and the Senate, which will probably end up in front of the voters at some point, and the voters are going to approve it. That extra homestead exemption, while saving all of us money as homeowners, will end up costing the city $8 million. And then we will have to figure out, without raising taxes, how do we absorb the extra homestead exemption, which will pass once it goes to the voters? How do we sustain the things that we need to do as a government is concerned? I mean, these are stark realities. We need to understand our budget process. We need to understand the money that comes in. Now, there are grant opportunities we've done and helped folks and try to direct them to the grants best way we can. My best counsel is there are numerous sources out there that could help folks to get on their feet that use our tax dollars, but that go to the county and let them expend the money. Let them help us. Go and talk to the commissioner and tell the commissioner that this is your concern, like I have told him. And hopefully there will be some program that is generated from the county to help this folks. I think it's overblown, to be quite honest. I think it's overblown. There is a lot of folks that are living in these RVs that are taking full advantage, whether it's oversight from the city for years, for whatever reason. But we need to draw the line. We need to draw the line and not continue allowing folks that live in other parts of Miami-Dade County to look at Hialeah as the Wild West and do whatever you want there. Okay? It's not something that we should be doing, and it's not something that I would propose that we do. Okay? We could take case by case situation. If somebody out of, the incredible hardship, but I'll tell you something, as I asked you the last time, what would you do in a situation if your family members, you bring them into your home? That's what I would do. I bring them in my home, figure out and try to help them get on their feet. But if you're willing to spend $35,000 on an RV, then perhaps you should spend the $35,000 in getting them an apartment someplace and sustaining them for a year or two. Other than that, I'm not really sure what to tell you.
Well, recently, I believe it was in the last council meeting, there was some grant money that was left over, which is designated for emergency shelter and homelessness prevention. It was handed over to Citrus. Perhaps we can somehow establish or have a conversation with Citrus to give priority to these people that will be moving out of the RVs to assist them. That's money that's already there, and it wouldn't be coming out of taxpayer dollars.
If I may, that's
Wait,
already
yeah,
established. Our grants department already has that.
Okay, I just want to remind somebody,
Yeah.
because I know that there's always this tendency to think that somehow or other grant money is not taxpayer dollars. It's all taxpayer dollars, all of it. All of it is
I'm
taxpayer.
sorry,
dollars.
additional taxpayer dollars.
right.
It's already been
So I think that's
designated for
important
that.
to understand.
Yes. I
Now,
apologize.
one of the things that we need to be careful with, because some of these grants, depending on the source of money, may have tentacles to it. And by that I mean is that it may run afoul of the law if we were to tell Citrus, you could only handle these people, or these are the people that should get priority, because the grant may not be written in that way. And the grant will then basically have to say, no, you need to take care of first come, first serve. Okay, so you did propose that when we met, and by all means, we should be taking a look at it, but it's a very fine line, because then we find ourselves in a situation where we either violated a covenant or some sort of, grant rule, and the ones that end up paying then the piper would be the city.
I wanted to ask, could we prepare somehow an informational packet to provide to the individuals that are living in this RVs, and to give them enough time to make preparations and apply for the different types of assistance available at the local level, I mean, in the city or in the county? Because as you mentioned, the county has additional resources, but a lot of people don't know how to access those resources. And I would like to be able to provide that information. I'm sure that we can even get volunteers from the college. I know many students from Miami-Dade College that are more than willing to do this, but I just don't want to completely ignore those people that are living in the RVs. I think it wouldn't take too much just to prepare something that we could give out.
If I may, through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
As I explained before, our grants department already has this sheet. It's called a community resolution team, and it's called a service referral. It's already been made. It's a checklist, and that's what we were discussing last time. You mail this checklist out to those RVs that have been identified with someone living in it, and it checks off the services that they qualify for or that is available to them in their situation. This is something that Daniela was here last meeting. It exists. I met with her after the meeting. I have a copy of the paper. I don't know if you met with her after the meeting, since you're concerned about it. And she has it readily available. I'm sure she could email it to you. And it's called Community Solution Team from the city of Hialeah. And it has a checklist with all the services that you could refer them. So it's something we could include when they're
Yes.
identified, mailed to them, or when they get their violation or they get
Yeah.
their notice. So
Yeah.
we don't need to expend and have a bigger team.
Yeah.
It's just a transactional form
It's,
that we could provide and help them with.
yeah, I think it would be good, I think in general, just to mention all the services that our grants department has to offer, right? I mean, it's all part of that. I think they do a really good job in intaking and then triaging what the circumstances are. I actually heard the other day that there was a neighboring municipality that was inspired about what we're doing here today in the city of Hialeah. And I believe it's the city of Opalaca is actually looking to incorporate allowing trailers on single family residential properties. So I think that's great for them. So maybe we could develop, some sort of partnership or collaboration where we can, tell folks, hey, if you're being for some reason moved out of Hialeah, there's potentially a spot in Opalaca, right? So again, a lot of options to look at. But look, I want to say that we've discussed for a while, for many months actually, the importance on everything surrounding quality of life and public safety when it comes to these RVs. But this ordinance is also for the families that have lived in the city of Hialeah for 10, 20, 30, 60 years, that have worked hard their whole lives, put some money aside to maintain their property as beautiful as they can. And at this stage in their life, they're being forced to live next to an illegal trailer park. And that will not be tolerated, right? So it's not what they signed up for from the beginning. And listen, and I get it. I think we all hear it all the time. Every time we try to push progress, right, in Hialeah, that Hialeah is in Coral Gables, or that Hialeah is in Miami Springs or Pinecrest or Doral. But I'll tell you what else we're not. The city of Hialeah is not a third world country. The city of Hialeah is not a trailer park, right? The city of Hialeah is a proud, hardworking community. And we believe that all of you deserve that much better. So I'd like to pass the gavel for a second. And I'd like to motion to approve.
Through the chair. Yeah, just I wanted to get into the weeds of some of these things. I think there's some language here that needs to be cleaned up. I saw, maybe the city attorney can help me for now. So I want to point you to, let's see, it's section D, subsection 7. When it's talking about the recreational vehicles, the second sentence says, let me know if you're there. It's page 53 for me. It says, for the purposes, if the recreational vehicle is owned by a close related relative for the purposes of this section, a close relative is going to be defined as a brother, a sister, son, daughter, father, or mother. Okay. But if you go down to section E, subsection 7, it seems like it's a mirroring provision, this time applying to the boats. But it says if the boat or vessel is owned by a close related relative, but it doesn't define. Obviously, it says per this section, but is that referring to the letter D, or would it apply to both D and E?
Fair point. Our
Yeah.
intent is to, when we define close related relative, just because we felt it needed some definition there,
Sure.
so we wouldn't be in endless arguments with people about whether third cousins or whatever. And we said, brother, sister, son, daughter, father or mother, the intent was to carry throughout the section. So when it comes to 7, we can say, just for clarity, close related relative, as defined above, or as defined in, as defined in D7, we can say that, for example.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
Yes, that's fine.
And then, so I wanted to ask you, maybe Deborah can answer more appropriately, but when you say a townhome, when you use the word townhome, do you refer to that as a 0 lot line? Are those interchangeable words, or are there differences there?
We are referring to the 0 lot lines.
So a
Yes.
townhome and a 0 lot line are the same thing, essentially.
Well, are not the same thing because
Okay.
in different neighborhoods, there are different typologies, but 0 lot line usually is sometimes it's a townhome, sometimes they are platted as fee simple, so they are like a single family home, but the typology and the width of the lot makes that be
Okay.
a townhome.
Okay, so I think if I understand what you're saying is a townhome will always be 0 lot. However, there might be some 0 lots that look like a single family home or are a single family.
Exactly,
Okay.
yes.
Because there's some language in here that I don't think is very precise, and I want to point you to the section. So it's talking about boats. I believe that's letter E again. And it's saying here, section 2 under letter E, subsection 2 says personal vote. This is the existing language. Personal vote or vessel that's less than 24 feet in length would be allowed to park in the front yard of a single family residence or townhouse if the property doesn't have a side yard or rear yard, provided that it's no closer than 3 feet from the side property line. Okay. But when I scroll down and I go to letter F, it's saying the parking of commercial vehicles, recreational vehicles, boats or vessels shall be prohibited on a property developed as duplex, 0 lot line or multifamily. So letter F is actually saying you can have it in a townhome, but if you scroll back up to E subsection 2, it's saying that you can have it in a townhome.
Well, we
That
should make
contradicts.
everything consistent. That is language that was there and that we didn't touch. No?
We just didn't touch the language for the boats in that requirement. We can definitely strike out townhouse as amended, like we're gonna do for section 7, and just make it consistent with letter G, or I'm sorry, letter F.
Yeah, I think certainly if you wanted to make it consistent, I think I agree with you. You would want to strike it out. I personally would like to have that discussion. I don't think we should. The existing language allows it in a townhome. I don't think that we should create additional language in section F that says you can't. I mean, I don't see why that would be an issue. If we're leaving section 2 as is, which seems like is the will of the author or sponsor. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's correct. Yeah. So if we want to leave 2, then I think what we need to do is we need to go the opposite route, and we need to go to F and nix out the 0 lot line phrase. or at a minimum, eliminate the boat phrase.
I'm going to defer to planning and zoning director and Alex Griso on that. I mean, it sounds viable what you're suggesting. I just factually, is there even space on a zero lot line too? I
If
mean,
you-
that's what I don't, I just don't understand that because
Yeah,
I.
if you visually go to what all those rows of townhouses that we have in the city, what you see are cars, tandem park cars. So you don't want there to have boats and to have RVs because the cars don't even fit there.
Because then the car, up through the chair,
Yes, ma'am.
because I believe then the car is gonna be parked on the swale.
They park
Right.
on the swale or their tandem park or who knows where they park.
Well, it
Tho-
seems
Those
like,
townhouses were designed or were conceived with two parking spaces.
Yeah.
And those townhouses have 3 bedrooms. In 3 bedrooms, you will usually have 2 cars, the wife and the husband or one of the kids and many times more. So adding there a boat or adding there an RV,
Right.
I think doesn't fit there.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, I get both sides. You either have it in the townhouse or you don't. I think there's arguments for both. I'm just saying that these two provisions contradict, so we got to pick one
Well,
today.
I think we should fix the one that allowed the boats to be there and remove it because we all know that realistically it's impossible.
Yeah, so then we would have to, in order to do that, we'd have to strike then under E subsection 2, we'd have to strike out the word townhouse.
Yeah.
For it to be consistent.
If I may through the chair though, just to continue this thought. There's some townhouses that are at the end that do have a side lot.
It's true.
What are we gonna do in those scenarios?
The corner ones.
So
Well,
those,
we
so.
cannot,
and Deborah-
except they are in
Right.
a larger lot
Right.
or something of that.
Deborah,
sort.
but at the end of the day, all these instances could also
Be a case.
be brought forth through the administrative variance process, correct?
Not if it says prohibited.
So there's through the chair. So that we can allow like a case by case basis. And say, okay, you were grandfathered in, you met the rules, you're not on the sidewalk. And allow certain townhomes to have that variance of having it or.
Once you eliminate prohibited, everyone will be able to come and ask for a variance.
Correct me if I'm wrong, oh, yes, thank you, is for a grandfather, it's
Correct.
for people that can demonstrate proof of ownership under the state DMV records prior to the effective date. They can get a variance, but it's for those people who can prove a grandfather.
Prove a grandfather, repeat that, prove a grandfather how? When they apply
Any
for,
person who owns a residential property and additionally owned an RV or a boat parked at the same residential property prior to adoption of this ordinance
right,
and can prove the ownership from Florida DMV records may apply for and be granted a variance.
right, okay. So those case by case basis will then,
Right, so you can only apply for a variance if at the time of this ordinance, you
already have
you
it.
own the boat or
Yeah,
the
yeah.
RV and are in violation
Sure.
of this ordinance.
okay, yeah, that was my clarity, yeah, okay. Thank you.
So, city attorney, do you think we should make the two languages consistent or you're comfortable with how it is right now?
I think you should make them consistent and it's a policy decision of the council. I mean, you've heard a planning reason from the director as to what that recommendation is, but it's ultimately the will of the council. But yeah, I think you should either address E2 or right, yes.
And so, Alex, what do you recommend? What is your recommendation on?
To make them consistent, I would go with Deborah's recommendation and strike townhouse
Okay.
from the boat section.
All right, sounds good. So my motion will be then as amended.
And then I just have a final language clarification here. So I'll point you to, I guess this is the second page. Page 2 on our PDF, it's page 49. The definition of a commercial vehicle, I believe this is the existing language, but just to go over it, says commercial vehicle means a motor vehicle or trailer used primarily for commercial purposes or designated or built for a commercial enterprise of a business or use, or any vehicle marked with a sign, letters, identification numbers, advertising, or associating in any way with a commercial enterprise other than those that identify the make of the vehicle or the dealer. A commercial vehicle may also include a vehicle used for transporting people for compensation. And then it goes on to talk about recreational vehicles. So then if we scroll down, so with that definition in mind, scroll down to letter F, little letter F. It says, this is page 54 of the PDF. It's page 7 of the ordinance. It says the parking of commercial vehicles. So everything that I just defined right now, recreational vehicles,